Welcome to Fantasy and Enchantment, where I describe fantasy books to my husband and see if he's enchanted. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Justin.
We are doing a new one today.
Yay!
Heartless Hunter,
Okay.
also known as the Crimson Moth.
Those two things don't go together. Why would they?
So, in the UK, it was published under the title Crimson Moth.
Isn't it?
Here, it's the Heartless Hunter, part 1 of the Crimson Moth duology.
Okay. So we overcomplicated it in the States. What a surprise.
Yes. Before we get too far into it, though, content warnings. We swear a lot.
That's gonna happen.
Spoilers for the book.
Obviously.
And this is the first episode we've recorded since the election.
Yay! Boo, hiss. Depends on how you feel, I guess.
You know how I feel.
I know how you feel. But the people.
I want to go on the record saying this. Books are political, and it's really hard to be a part of the book community if you also voted for the people who want to do book bans. Books are how you learn things. Books are how you learn to empathize with other people, how you put yourself in other people's shoes. Also, there are still places in the world where it's, if not really hard, then illegal for certain people to learn to read and write. Like, access to books is essential in democracy, regardless of whether you personally would read that book. It is important for books to be easily accessible, including in libraries, public libraries and school libraries. Okay, I'm done with my soapbox.
I don't read books, so
So Justin has no stake in
but
this.
yeah, I got no skin in the game on this one whatsoever. So that's my stance. Let's talk about something really important, though. I want to talk about Shaquille O'Neal because Shaquille O'Neal has released gummies, and they're fucking fantastic. They come in 3 different flavors. They're shaped like Shaquille O'Neal's head. They're without a doubt the best gummies I've ever had. I'm addicted to them. I keep buying bags every time I go to Walmart. I think they put cocaine in them. Also, if I ever saw Shaquille O'Neal, I would definitely bite his head just in hopes that he tastes as good as his gummies.
You couldn't even reach his head.
I couldn't. He's like
7 feet
he's
tall.
7 feet tall. He's like 2 feet taller than me. He's huge. But I still would try to bite his head. Thanks for making those, Shaquille O'Neal. I appreciate you.
He's a little over a foot taller than you, to be fair. You're not 5 feet tall.
I feel like he's got a duck to get through doorways, and that's never going to be an issue for me.
No, it won't be. Also, that was a big switch to going from, like, election and books to Shaq.
That's how my world works.
All right.
You know that by now.
I am aware.
Anyway, we're here to talk about a book.
Let's talk about the book. We will start with the description,
Okay?
and then we'll talk about the cover. I know how much you like that.
I like a good cover. There's probably a map.
Yes, there is a map in
always
this one.
a map.
And then we'll get into the book.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Let's do it. We actually have the book. You
I
have
do.
to show me a picture of it.
I think
Did I buy this?
you might have bought this.
I was gonna say,
I
'cause
might have bought it. There's been a lot of book buying.
This cover looks familiar because I can see it as you're looking at it. It does look vaguely familiar. I may have purchased this.
Okay. On the night Ruin's life changed forever, blood ran in the streets. Now, in the aftermath of a devastating revolution, witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic. And Ruin must hide what she is, spending her days pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite. Ruin spends her nights as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. When a rescue goes wrong, she decides to throw the witch hunters off her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp. He is a notorious and unforgiving witch hunter, loyal to the revolution, and, too late, Ruin realizes she might be falling for him. Gideon loathes the decadence and superficiality Ruin represents, but when he learns the Crimson Moth has been using Ruin's merchant ships to smuggle renegade witches out of the Republic, he inserts himself into her social circles by pretending to court her. He soon realizes that beneath her beauty and shallow facade is someone fiercely intelligent and tender who feels like his perfect match, except What if she's the very villain he's been hunting?
Okay, how do you spell her name?
Rune. So Rune.
Okay, it's Rune.
Yeah.
Okay. Did we have another book where a character was named Rune?
Oh yeah, Crescent City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that sounded.
But that
when
was
you said
R-U-H-N.
that, I was like, wait a minute. Did we already talk about this character? Is this coming back? Is this tied into something else?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. It's just the same name.
So, pronounced the same, yes.
All right. Okay.
Ta-da, cover.
So we got a moth on the cover.
Yes.
I actually like this cover.
Oh yay, look at that, guys, we did it!
It's pretty cool. I feel like that description was really wordy, and I got lost halfway through it.
Okay.
And I'm lost in what is essentially the trailer for the movie. Feels like Megalopolis. Have you seen the trailers for that movie?
I don't think so.
It looks real pretty, but I have no idea what it's about, and it's gotten terrible reviews, but I still want to see it, just because
Okay.
it looks good. It's visually pleasing. I want to watch it.
Okay.
It's not out yet. It's got that guy that John Oliver is always talking about.
Adam Driver?
Yeah, the guy with the weird face that he always makes jokes about. Yeah.
I think that's Adam Driver.
Yeah, except John Oliver wants to have man sex with him, which is really strange. But
I mean, John Oliver is also a comedian.
yeah,
So,
well, there is that.
he might not actually
He's also
want
into
to fuck him.
rat erotica, so there's lots of weird things that John Oliver does on his show. Regardless, I do want to see that movie. Justin's movie reviews? Not sure yet. We'll get back to you on that one.
Okay, can we talk about the book now?
I guess so. I've been trying to delay it as much as I can.
You can't delay it forever.
I know, it is a podcast about books.
Okay. Also, this book is technically YA.
Okay, so there's no porn.
No porn. Or, I mean, there is one scene but it's very vague.
It's not like cock drilled her in the ass came on her face.
No, oh my god, no.
That's how most of your books go.
No, that is not how they. Damn it.
Most of your books are on blacked.com.
Stop.
Although I guess it's called fade.com or something because they're all fairies.
No, they're not.
Most
This
of
one's
the
about
time.
witches.
This one's about witches. Okay. Are they British? Because was it released in the UK first?
I don't know. I don't remember. The author is British, and that's why.
Okay, so you would assume that it's probably
It's like a
set-
Harry Potter situation. Like the first book was called The Philosopher's Stone in the UK, and then it got picked up by a US publisher and then changed it to The Sorcerer's Stone because they thought
they're
Americans
like,
were too
Americans, you're dumb. You don't know what a philosopher is.
dumb. Yes.
And they probably should have dumbed it down further, really. They're sorcerer, maybe we should just call it a witch. But then they're going to want to burn them, so maybe we shouldn't call it a witch.
Okay. Let's get started.
All right.
So Ruin is a witch.
You're saying it ruin, like R-U-I-N?
Well,
that's what's throwing me off. It's rune.
I mean, to me, they're both pronounced the same way. They're just spelled differently.
No.
Whatever.
Rune, ruin.
Rune
Rune.
Rune
There you go.
is a witch.
Say it like you're garbage a little bit better. Because rune, yeah. It sounds like you're not pronouncing it right, but it is right.
Got it.
Rune.
Okay.
Like crayon.
Stop
Instead
it.
of crayon.
Crayon.
Crayon. C-R-A-N. Crayon.
Can we move on?
All right.
2 years ago, the witch queens of her, continent, whatever. Oh, fuck, we forgot the map.
Oh, shit, we wouldn't even know how to do the whole story if we didn't have a goddamn map. I don't even know where we're at.
I mean, it's a very basic map.
Why do they always live on an island?
Well, it's a continent. That's how continents work.
Well,
Like, North America is essentially a very large island. You know that.
no, because North America is connected to South America. So,
Well, yeah, but combined, they make one very
so
large
I mean, is
island.
this supposed to be like all of Australia, or is it?
Yes, basically.
Okay.
So, and that's Gideon, and that's Ruin.
Okay.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, kind of.
All right. Anyway, let's move on.
All right.
Okay. Ruin is a witch.
I'm sure for an audio podcast, us looking at a map is really great content. I'm sure that people love that.
Well, okay.
Google the map. Follow along. Continue.
I'm trying. The witch queens were overthrown, and being a witch was made illegal. Witches have casting scars because they need blood to do magic. So they have to cut themselves or other people. And when they do that, it leaves scars, and that's how they know who's a witch.
It's an interesting spin on witch lore.
Yes. And then we get back.
Pretty sure they didn't do that in The Wizard of Oz.
They did not, actually.
Maybe that's why she had all those monkeys around, so she could cut the monkeys.
Okay. That was kind of like a prologue. The first chapter is in Rune's point of view. She's running through the woods trying to find an older witch. And this is when you find out she gave up her grandmother to the Blood Guard. And the Blood Guard are the people who, like, overthrew the witches. They're in charge of catching the witches now.
So the witches were previously in charge of everything.
Yes.
They ran the show.
Yeah, there were two queens who were sisters, and they were witches. And they...
That does have some Wizard of Oz vibes, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah. Two witches, right? They were sisters. Were in that story?
Were they sisters? I don't remember. It's been a really long time.
I don't know. Wizard of Oz is a terrible movie.
Okay.
It's really boring.
All right.
Justin's movie reviews.
Also, here's a fun little tidbit in the story. Rune, in order to not be caught, does not have any casting scars, but she needs the blood to do magic. You want to guess where she's getting the blood from?
Her period.
Yes.
Nailed it.
She's carrying around a vial of menstrual blood to do the magic.
It's kind of gross, but I get it.
I mean...
It's a witty way to do it.
Desperate situations.
Nice little workaround.
Yeah.
Hey, vampire walks into a bar, sits down at the bar, and orders a glass of hot water. Bartender says, "You're a vampire. What are you doing drinking water?" He pulls out 2 used tampons, puts them in the water, and says, "I'm having tea." Continue.
I hate everything about what just happened. Okay. She gets to the witch's house and realizes the older witch is not there. The Blood Guard must already have her. So you get little bits throughout the story. She turned her grandmother in so she herself would not be caught and executed. Because not only are witches executed, people who conspire with witches are executed.
Tuck and roll, Grandma.
Yes. So her and her grandmother agreed that if Rune gave up her grandmother, they would not think that Rune was a witch.
Right.
So she wouldn't die.
It's not a hereditary thing.
No, and technically it's like her adopted grandmother.
Oh, okay.
And it can skip over generations.
It's a recessive trait.
Yes, I guess. So she leaves and rides to the opera house. She knows there's going to be witch hunters there who might know where the old witch is. Her name is Seraphine, by the way. She passes penitent children in the streets. So these are kids of witches.
Okay.
And they're poor kids whose family were witches, and it's illegal to help them. So they just have to beg in the street.
But theoretically, if they were begging in the street and you gave them a quarter,
yes, that would be illegal. Yeah.
So really, what are they begging for?
Some people can, like, as long as you don't get caught, like. But technically, they're not allowed
Seems
to
like
have
it's
jobs.
Like if it was a crime to give the bum on the side of the road $1, I'm not risking that.
Okay.
Like, fuck that bum right away. But definitely fuck that bum if it's illegal to give him $1.
Justin has no soul. Anyway, Rune's friend Verity has been telling her that she needs to get married soon. She's made a list of suitors, and then she runs into Verity and a Blood Guard member named Layla, who suggests that Rune might be the Crimson Moth, this witch who's running around being a vigilante, letting other witches loose.
Okay.
Rune says that's ridiculous because she wouldn't want to get her designer shoes dirty. So this is Rune acts dumb. She pretends to be like a shallow socialite so that nobody will suspect her.
Right.
Witches get their magic when they have their first period.
All right, that's a weird tie. So wait, are there no male witches in the world?
At this point, no.
Okay. But, well, I mean, obviously men don't get their periods, so.
Correct. And also, because of, like, she was pretty young when this whole thing with her grandmother happened, she didn't even know that she was a witch. Because she had no magic, it wasn't until, like, the next year she had her period.
Is there, like, a comparable male species in this world?
Not at this point. There might be in book 2.
Okay, there's not, like, a warlock or something.
No.
Okay. Just curious, trying to build the world here.
Okay.
Understand what's happening.
Okay. Layla's brother says a witch was brought in by Gideon Sharp. And that's her friend Alex's older brother. So Rune decides to go look for him. And then it's Gideon's point of view. He has spent a year tracking Seraphine, the old witch, And
He's got a lot of free time, I guess. Just tracking some old lady.
I mean, that's also his job.
Oh, okay.
He's the captain of the Blood Guard.
Okay, so he's getting paid for it.
Yes.
It's not like a hobby. He's doing it on the side.
No. He's going to the opera to meet his informant, whose name is Harrow.
Weird to go to the opera for this kind of thing.
Well, where else do you meet people? I don't know.
Not the fucking opera.
Okay.
British people. Oh, we'll go down to the Chippy.
Okay.
Have a couple pints.
Anyway, he also has a brand on his chest that one of the witch queens gave him.
So he's a little upset over that, I'd assume.
Yes, there's some history there. Members of the Blood Guard have recently been murdered, and he thinks it's the Crimson Moth who's killing them. Because witches are all evil.
Okay. So, do we find out why we're using the name Crimson Moth at any point? Or
Yes.
Is it, okay.
Yeah.
Like Batman.
Okay.
No, Crimson Moth. Doesn't have the same ring to it.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't work.
And then it's Rune's point of view. She can't find Gideon, but Alex pulls her aside. She tells him that Gideon caught Seraphine. Alex is the one who killed the witch queen Cressida at the start of the revolution. And then they walk straight into Gideon. Alex and Gideon's parents were tailors who ended up working for the queens. So they come from like a lower class than Rune does, because her grandmother was a noble woman, so now she's a noble woman.
Right.
Rune follows Gideon and asks to sit next to him. Says she likes the opera because the costumes are so pretty. And invites him to an after party. He says he doesn't have the patience for silly gossip. So,
at this point, as the reader, do you know that she's pretending to be stupid?
yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
Or you're not like, God, the main character's a dumb bitch.
No. Like, it's pretty obvious right away what she's doing.
Okay.
So Gideon goes to meet with his informant, and then Rune leaves to find Verity. And then it's Gideon's point of view. He's at a bar with Harrow, who's a woman who was missing an ear.
She got in a tussle with Mike Tyson.
Okay. Mike Tyson, who just lost a boxing match.
Just lost a boxing match at 58 years old to a 27-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And didn't even get knocked down, went to a decision. Yeah, that was a real boxing match, guys. It was very real. It wasn't planned at all.
Okay. I don't know enough about boxing to comment on that.
Mike Tyson likes pigeons. He seems like a funny guy.
Okay.
I like Mike Tyson.
Noted.
Not the horrible things he did in the 90s that got him in prison, but the other things. He seems good now.
Okay. Harrow says some of the escaped witches left on a ship belonging to Rune. They argue about whether Rune could be the Crimson Moth. Gideon thinks Rune is too stupid to pull it off, because that's what she wants everybody to think.
Also, it seems like an awful lot of people are kind of pointing their fingers at her right out of the gate. So,
well, it's not that people are, like, in this instant, they might suspect Rune because of the information they found. But prior to that, they had nothing connecting Rune to anything.
Oh, but that other person said it like right when she walked up earlier.
Well, yeah, she was just being a cunt.
Oh, okay. So now there's like a couple people who've already said, hey, you might be the Batman. And she's like, no, I'm definitely not Batman. I'm too stupid to be Batman. I don't have a utility belt. I don't have a bat cape. I don't have a butler. My parents didn't get killed by the Joker in an alleyway when I was 5.
Okay. Harrow tells him to go to the after party and pretend to be Rune's suitor. That's a good way to get information out of her. And then it's Rune's point of view. She casts a truth spell on a wine glass. Verity suggests again that Rune should marry someone who can help them save witches unwittingly, just as a source of information. They talk about her options a little bit and then go down to the party. She's talking to one of the Blood Guard, and she's thinking about marrying Alex. Gideon comes up to her and gives her like a fabric rose. His parents were tailors. They taught him how to sew.
Right.
It's a whole thing. And then she asks him to dance. And then it's Gideon's point of view. Rune realizes he doesn't know how to dance because he grew up poor. He asks for a tour of the house instead. Alex finds them and demands a dance with Rune. And she brushes him off because she's trying to get information out of Gideon.
Right.
So then it's Rune's point of view. She thinks Gideon suspects her, which, I mean, at this point, yes.
Yeah.
They tease each other a little and then sit next to each other in front of a piano. Gideon says his brother plays and that he went to the Royal Conservatory. When the parents became official fancy tailors for the queens, they all of a sudden had a lot of money, so they were able to send Alex to fancy school.
Get real fancy.
Yes. She offers to show him her grandmother's room, and then her maid brings in wine and the glass that she put the spell on. It says that she did it on like the bottom of the glass.
Is there a way for her to notify which glass is which? How does she know?
It says that the maid put them in a particular setup, so she would know.
Okay.
And then also tells Rune that she got a telegram. So this is a little unusual.
Telegram!
Yeah, because a lot of these stories are set in like medieval-ish
Right.
vibes. This one's more of like industrial. So there are sewing machines and guns and telegrams.
Okay. So they're not being delivered by pigeon.
They're not being delivered by
To
pigeon.
bring it back to Mike Tyson. Are they being delivered by Mike Tyson? How great would that be if they were like, Mike Tyson's here to give you a telegram? I would like to be able to do a Mike Tyson impression right now, but I know I'm not going to be able to do it, so I'm not even going to try.
Thank you for that. Okay.
The people wouldn't even know who I'm trying to be. Anyway, so he would just come up and go, telegram, I'm Mike Tyson. Here's your telegram.
Okay. Rune tries to give him the wine, and then he says he doesn't drink. So she drinks it because the only way for her, it says that she goes down to put down the glass and then picks up the other one, and he's like, what's wrong with that one? So she's like, fuck it, I just drink this one. So now she is under the effect of
She's
the
like,
truth.
I'm a drunk, I'm going to drink them both.
She asks why he doesn't drink, and he says he used to do that and worse.
Drugs.
Yes. Asks if the telegram is a note from one of her admirers. She says it's an invitation to the Luminaries dinner, which is a special dinner with all the fancy people.
Well, they're already at a fancy thing for rich people.
Well, now they're at her house.
Oh, okay.
She's just having a party at her house.
Okay.
She's the guest of honor because of what she's done for the Republic, she helped turn in her grandmother.
Right.
He can tell she's upset. She says it's because she won't have her dress in time, and it's next week.
You can't get a dress in a week?
Well, I mean, this is back when everything, like, if you think about, we buy clothes now at stores, but they didn't really have that in, like, the industrial era. You had to get stuff made, and it took a while.
Oh. Hard to relate. I just go to Walmart and buy what I need.
I know. So he acts like he's going to kiss her, and then she spills wine on him to kind of, like, split him up. When Verity comes in, Gideon leaves.
I thought she liked him. Why doesn't she want to kiss him?
I mean, she doesn't really like him at this point. She's trying to get information out of him.
Oh.
Verity says Gideon is too dangerous for Rune to court. And then Alex comes in and also says Gideon is dangerous. So they're both like, he's the captain of the Blood Guard. He's really smart. He's going to fuck you up.
Do they know she's a witch?
Yeah, they both know.
Okay. I clarify that.
And then it's Gideon's point of view. He goes back to the city, and he knows Rune spilled the wine on purpose, but he thinks it's just because, like, he was making her uncomfortable. So he goes to his parents' old tailor shop and starts drawing a dress for Rune. So he's going to make her a dress.
Right.
And then it's Rune's point of view. She goes to meet Verity and Alex at the university, where Verity is a student. Verity helps Rune with her spells sometimes, because Verity herself is not a witch, but her sisters were. So she knows a little bit about magic.
So skipped a generation on her.
Yeah.
She missed it. Missed out on being a witch.
Yeah. Rune tries this really intense spell, but she ends up, like, collapsing. And then wakes up later. Verity says the blood she was using was too old for the spell. Says she could try using someone else's blood.
Dirty old period blood's too old. Throw that out, you fucking animal.
Okay. Alex offers his blood, but Rune says no. Rune is going to a party tomorrow night,
How much blood do they need? Is there an amount? Is it like a drop?
So basically, like
Is it more for bigger spells?
it can be more if, like, depending on the spell. Some of them are really quick because you just need enough blood to, like, draw a little symbol. That's what she was doing on the wine glass. She drew a symbol on the bottom.
Right, so you just need a drop or two for that. But
Yeah.
if you want to start, like, blowing things up, you need to go to, like, a guar concert or a birth or something.
Yes.
Which is pretty much the same thing. For those of you who've not experienced a live human birth, it's essentially a guar concert. It's horrifying.
I didn't see any of that part.
Buckets. I don't know.
Otherwise occupied.
I don't know how you weren't dead. It was like, you've seen Kill Bill before when she starts like cutting everybody's throats and it just sprays out everywhere. That's essentially what a birth is. I'm sorry if you're pregnant right now or if you are near someone who is pregnant right now. It's going to be a disaster.
Well,
Blood everywhere.
people do die because of blood loss.
Yeah,
That's
I
okay.
understand. There's so much of it.
Okay. Rune is going to trace a map of the prison where she thinks they're holding Seraphine. Alex offers to help if she takes a break from the Crimson Moth stuff for a month.
Do we know why she's trying to get this old lady?
One, because like that's what she does as a Crimson Moth.
She just helps out other witches. I get that.
Two, her grandmother knew Seraphine. Her grandmother told her to find Seraphine.
Okay.
She's been looking for Seraphine for a couple years now.
Right.
Finally found where she thought she was, and then she's not there, so now she's determined.
Okay. So there is a little bit more to that.
Yes.
I just wanted to see if it was just, they caught some old witch. I'm going to go get her.
Okay. Alex says he's going back to the conservatory to finish his education, and he wants Rune to come with him. Because Alex, I don't know if you noticed yet, is into her.
Well, okay.
Rune goes back to her house. There's a telegram from Gideon.
Telegram!
Are you going to do that every time?
Yeah, if you're going to keep having telegrams, I'm going to keep acting like a jackass. I'm also distracted. There's a hole in my sock. Really bothering me.
It says he has a solution to her dress predicament. He asked her to come to him the next day at 10. So it's Gideon's point of view. He goes to a boxing ring. Alex is there. They fight each other.
Mike Tyson's also there.
Okay. Is this just going to be a Mike Tyson episode?
There's so many Mike Tyson things. There's pigeons, there's boxing rings, there's somebody missing
There
an
were
ear.
no pigeons.
Well, in my world, there were pigeons.
Okay. Alex says Rune wouldn't end up with someone like Gideon. Gideon says Alex is pining for her in the shadows. So Gideon knows that Alex is into her.
Right. You got a boner for her. I could see it.
Okay. And then it's Rune's point of view. She goes to the tailor shop. Gideon shows her a drawing of a dress and says he needs her measurements. She thinks he wants to look for scars because that's how he's going to be able to tell if she's a witch.
He's really just trying to cop a feel.
Well,
Get a little under boob touch or something.
okay.
Slap her on the butt.
But she doesn't have any scars.
So she got nothing to worry about anyway.
She got nothing to worry about. So she strips and stands in front of a mirror. So she's like in her underwear. He talks about working with Queen Cressida and says he lived at the palace to, quote, better fulfill her needs. He was sleeping with the queen.
Oh, okay. How old are these people?
I think Gideon is in his like mid to late 20s at this point. The revolution just happened a couple years ago.
But the queen was a witch, right?
Yes.
So he was boning a witch.
He was born in a witch.
All right. That's probably a cool story at the very least.
We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
It's a little fucked up.
Oh.
Because also she gave him a brand.
Oh, she's the one who did. That's some weird freak shit there.
Yes.
Yeah, he's into some weirdo stuff. He's probably wearing a leather dog mask too, I'd imagine.
As it turns out, spoiler, no.
No
No.
leather dog mask involved.
No.
It's unfortunate. They were probably into weird stuff though.
Okay.
Branding and whatnot.
Let's continue. It's Gideon's point of view. He finishes the measurements and gives Rune a blanket. So she invites him to her house. He says he has to transfer a witch from the old mine to the palace prison, so can't be there. And she says, that's fine, there's a party later that night, you should come when you're done. And then it's Rune's point of view. She decides to go to the mine before the party, because in her mind,
That's where the witch is.
that's where the witch is.
Yeah.
Gideon just gave her the information she needed. But then it's Gideon's point of view. He tells Harrow that Rune doesn't have casting scars.
So that was what he was looking for.
Yes.
He wasn't just trying to cop a feel, although he definitely did.
Not really, no. But yes, he was looking for scars. But Harrow says he'll have to get her naked to be sure.
Yeah, those titties could be all scarred up. Or
Yes.
her butthole.
Okay.
She might be taking blood from her butthole.
Okay. Did not see that coming. I hate it. Gideon says he gave Rune a false lead. There is no holding cell in the mine. So he's got people waiting at the mine.
He still tricked her.
He's still tricked her. He's thinking, like, if she shows up there, it's her.
Right.
If anyone shows up there, she's still involved somehow. But if no one shows up, he'll just stop courting her. They'll be done. He got what he needed.
Right.
So, Rune's point of view, she goes to the mine. She's using an invisibility spell. She climbs down and someone grabs her arm. It's Gideon. He was waiting down there. He can't see her because she's invisible, but he can...
How do you catch somebody who's invisible?
He heard her.
Okay.
It just happened to make like a lucky grab.
All right.
Can't see her, but he still has ears.
Okay.
She fights him off and runs further into the mine, ends up in an underground lake, has to hold her breath until she thinks Gideon is gone, but then he grabs her again. She fights him off again, gets out of the mine. Another blood guard, I think it's Layla, shoots at her and she gets grazed by a bullet. So, one, she was almost caught. Two, now she's got a wound that is very
noticeable.
obviously. Yeah. So Rune rides her horse to the party and gets changed in the woods. She shoves paper and pen down the front of her dress because she's going to make a copy of the map. And then finds Alex. He helps her inside, asks where she was, and takes her to the room with the map. Her arm is still bleeding, so she tells him about the mine.
She can't just witch spell her wound shut.
Well, that requires more blood.
She's bleeding.
That's true. She might just not know how to do that spell.
All right.
She asks him to be her alibi. Alex says, again, he'll help her if she comes with him for a month, and asks what she'll do when she saves all the witches. He's like, eventually this is going to have to stop.
Or all the witches will be dead.
Yes. Says he wants her to leave with him permanently. So not just for a month, but to just give it all up entirely.
Run away.
And then Verity finds them. But then it's Gideon's point of view. He gets to the party. One of the girls there asks if things went smoothly. And then Rune finds him and says she told her friends at lunch earlier about the transfer. So she spread the story about the mine to cover her trail.
Right.
So then this is going to happen a lot where Gideon thinks he's got her trapped, but then she does something to kind of, it's this constant back and forth.
Real cat and mouse game.
Yes. And then she ends up leaving with Alex and Verity. She's in a carriage with them and shows them the map she copied. They start planning how to get Seraphine out. Rune wants to try the truth-telling spell on Gideon again. So when she gets home, she sends Gideon a telegram.
Telegram?
Asking him to come to the Luminaries dinner with her. I'm so excited that you found a thing to do.
And every time you hit the word telegram, you're like, son of a bitch.
Yes. A box is delivered to her a couple days later. It has a note from Gideon asking if she wants him to be her date. And the box has the dress Gideon made for her. And then a while later, her maid says Gideon is there. And he asks her to walk on the beach with him. So, Gideon's point of view, they go outside. Rune says the neighborhood he lives in is quaint. And he thinks she's insulting him because she's fancy rich lady. And
Right.
Yeah.
She lives in a mansion. This place is like a mansion.
Look at all this stuff.
Look at all this stuff.
He talks about the people begging in the street. The kids who they're not allowed to help.
Right, the homeless.
Yes.
The scourge.
She says it's his commander that made helping the kids of witches illegal. So if he should be mad at anybody, he needs to be mad at his boss. He calls her privileged, which is accurate.
Yeah.
She says she doesn't think he's beneath her and says he thinks he's better than her, not the other way around. So, like, Gideon is assuming the worst of her all the time.
Right.
He says the last girl he fell in love with was a witch. The witch queens were using magic to make his mother sick. Cressida threatened his sister if he broke up with her. So again, a little fucked up.
Yep.
And then his sister died anyway. And his parents killed themselves afterwards. So
he comes from a bit of a broken home.
yes. And then he remembers all of a sudden why he's there. So he starts stripping because he's going to go swim in the ocean because she's pretty close to the coast. And then it's Rune's point of view. She sees the brand Cressida gave him.
And his big old hog because he's stripping.
Okay. She strips too and gets in the water. She tells him about her grandmother's execution. And they start making out.
I thought, a minute ago, he was mad because she called his neighborhood quaint. And then he was like, I'm fucking better than you. I'm going to take my dick out and go jump in the water. And she's like, well, I guess I'll get naked too and go make out with you. So it all makes perfect sense.
I mean, it's not like it's... Okay. They just happen to start making out. They were like... Because they're supposed to be quote-unquote courting.
Okay.
Okay. And then it's Gideon's point of view. He remembers that his brother is in love with her, and so, like, jumps away. Rune thinks he didn't want to kiss her, so she starts getting under the water. And he runs after her. He catches up to her and says she didn't do anything wrong. And then she asks if he remembers the day they met. She was 13. Alex invited her to a cliff where other kids were jumping into the water. Gideon was there. He insulted her clothes. He says she was out of touch. And she says she wanted him to like her. So they start making out again.
Now naked on the beach.
Well, they're not naked anymore.
They're not naked anymore. Okay. He put his hog away.
Yes. Okay. He says he needs to go home. And it's Gideon's point of view 3 days later. He's talking to Harrow about the ships leaving with the witches on board. Harrow says there are rumors of witches gathering in small groups. And says again that Gideon needs to sleep with Rune to be sure she doesn't have scars. Because he's like, I got her naked the other night. I didn't say anything.
You got to check that butthole.
She's like, well, how close did you get? Did you check every inch of her?
Did you look at that butthole?
Okay. A blood guard soldier later says the Tasker brothers missed their shift. So there are two brothers. Their last name is Tasker. So Gideon decides to look for them and sends a message to Rune. And then it's Rune's point of view. She tells Verity that she put a truth spell on the jacket Gideon will be wearing. So she sent Gideon a jacket.
Right.
She gets the note from Gideon saying he's going to be late for dinner. So she opens a hidden door where she keeps all her vials of blood. And finds a spell book that's not hers.
Also, plot hole. When she was naked in the water with him, wouldn't he have noticed the scar on her arm from where she got shot?
I mean, it was pretty dark.
Well, but he was able to tell that she didn't have any scars on her body because he got her naked.
I don't remember if that was mentioned or not.
She was able to see how big his penis was.
There was definitely not a mention of that.
And that's why she got in the water with him in the first place.
Okay.
Wasn't that dark.
You made your point.
Right, plot hole.
Okay. And then it's Gideon's point of view. Oh, she sees a spell also to make an earthquake. That's going to come back later.
Okay.
Gideon finds the brothers dead in an alley, and there's a message written in blood on the wall, and it says, "You're next, Gideon." So someone's coming for him.
Cool. Also, they wasted all their blood. They could have used that for spells.
They could have, yes. And then it's Rune's point of view. She gives her speech at the dinner and goes to talk to Verity. Verity found out where Seraphine is being kept in the prison, but the guards in there have access coins. And that's the only way they can get into specific parts of the prison. But the good news is Gideon probably has a coin. So she just has to get it from him.
Right. She's got to do a little petty theft.
Yes. A blood guard walks in holding a prisoner wearing a hood. The guard takes her to a platform and removes the hood, and it's Seraphine.
Yay.
She also suspiciously still looks really young, considering like her grandmother was in her 70s and
Yeah, I was going to
Seraphine
say.
was about the same age.
Also, has she seen her before? Like, she's never met Seraphine, right?
She's seen her in pictures.
Okay, I was going to say, because how does she know who she's looking for? Maybe that's why she's been looking for years for this old lady, because she had any idea who she looks like.
Possibly. The commander asks Rune to come onto the platform and then gives her a knife and tells her she has the privilege of purging the witch. So,
You get to kill this witch.
yes. And then Rune panics.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Seraphine says Rune's grandmother would be ashamed. She gets lifted upside down by chains on her legs, so she's hanging.
Cool.
Because they cut their throats and
They bleed out a lot quicker that way.
Yeah.
I know how it works.
Oh, okay.
I know a thing or two about the murdering.
Okay. Rune is about to just say fuck it and cast a spell to help her when someone yells fire. And then it's Gideon's point of view. He gets to the dinner and hears people yelling. So he runs in and finds Rune, runs out of the fire. And she says the fire was magic and Seraphine might want her dead. So she thinks at this point Seraphine might have found a way to cast a spell, even though her hands were locked up and everything.
Okay. You got to wave your hands around to cast a spell?
Well, you do need to draw the symbols.
Okay.
Can't do that if you can't move your fingers.
All right. I don't know how. Believe it or not, I'm not familiar with how witches cast spells.
Oh, but you're familiar with murdering and...
I understand those
Mike
things.
Tyson.
I've watched a lot of horror movies.
Okay.
Yes, I am familiar with Mike Tyson.
Okay. Verity finds them. She goes home with Rune. A blood guard says there's something Gideon needs to see. Under the platform is Cressida's casting signature. So when a witch does magic, it leaves behind like a brief little symbol, and they call that a casting signature. The reason the Crimson Moth is called the Crimson Moth is because her casting signature is a moth.
Okay.
So that's how they know the Crimson Moth has been there.
Right. It just hangs out for a while.
Yeah. It's like an after effect of the spell, kind of.
That seems unnecessary, but okay.
You're unnecessary.
Again, I'm unfamiliar with how witches cast spells, so
Okay.
seems like a unnecessary byproduct. Also, when she put the spell on his wine glass, wouldn't there have been a moth then?
Yes, in her room where she casted the spell, but she didn't give him the glass in the room. It was also like a while after that spell was cast, so it doesn't
Okay.
stick around forever.
Does the spell stick around forever? For a hot minute?
I mean, for at least a little while.
Okay.
It might depend on the spell.
Just trying to understand the semantics here.
Okay. It's Rune's point of view. Her and Verity are in a carriage. Verity doesn't like that she's still seeing Gideon. She says Seraphine was taken back to the prison. And they go to Alex's house. The three of them start planning to break Seraphine out. Alex says he can get the coin from Gideon.
Here's a plot hole. Wouldn't it make more sense if you had a prisoner who you were about to publicly execute because they were such a bad person? Why would you... And then something happened, something crazy happened that put off the execution. Wouldn't you, at first opportunity then, execute that prisoner as opposed to like, well, I guess we'll just take him back and put him in the prison again?
Well, the blood guard likes to make a big show of the executions. That's why they were going to do it at this dinner. They like to do it out in... It's not logical, but the blood guard isn't always logical.
It's a real, like, the villain has the hero all tied up and he's going to tell him all about his master plan before he kills him. It's got that vibe to it.
It's not quite that bad.
It's pretty close.
No.
It's pretty silly.
You're pretty silly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And there's like, I think it's the anniversary of the revolution is coming up. So they're going to kill a bunch of witches that day.
Well, it's a good.
So
It's a time to
just stick
celebrate.
It starts storming. So Alex asks Rune to stay in his house for the night, but she can't sleep. So she eventually just lays in bed with Alex and asks about what happened to Gideon. Alex found Gideon in a fight club. You're not going to make a joke about the movie?
I never saw the movie.
Okay.
I tried. I watched about half of it and then I turned it off because it was terrible. Justin's movie reviews, Fight Club fucking sucks.
It has meatloaf in
I
it.
know it has meatloaf in it, and I know that is a small redeeming factor because I do love me some meatloaf. But it is nowhere near as good as its part in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay.
Way better movie.
Okay. People called Gideon the witch's whore. They knew he was sleeping with Cressida. He was high all the time.
Drugs!
They met the leader of the revolution there, who is now the commander of the Blood Guard. After Alex falls asleep, she goes back to her house. And then it's Gideon's point of view. The commander tells him to reinstate curfew, start doing raids, like basically just crack down on everybody to try to find these witches. Gideon doesn't think that's a good idea. The commander says sometimes people don't know what they need to be protected from. Remember when I said books aren't political? Are political, I mean. He says it's Gideon's decision, but then Gideon thinks about it for a while and says yes, they'll go back to doing the curfews and everything. He gets back home to a telegram.
Telegram!
From Alex. Alex says he's leaving soon and having a goodbye party at his house. So Gideon goes over there. Alex and some other members of the Blood Guard are playing cards at a table. So he notices that Alex isn't wearing their mother's ring. Hero said a man wearing a poor man's wedding ring on his pinky was seen while helping the witches escape. So now Gideon is concerned. Gideon plays until he's out of money. Alex says he can bet something else and tells him to empty his pockets. And then Gideon loses and Alex gets his coin, his access coin to the prison.
Okay.
Gideon tells Alex that they found Cressida's casting signature. He asks if Cressida could have survived after Alex shot her. Alex says he shot her 3 times. So he's like, there's no way. She's dead.
Super dead.
And then it's Rune's point of view. Alex finds her in her secret room where she hides all her shit.
Right. Not a very good secret room if somebody found you there.
Gideon already knew, or Alex already knew it was there.
Okay.
He gives her Gideon's coin and then tells her Cressida is alive. He says he went to kill her but told her to run instead. She tells him not to tell anyone or he'll be killed because he helped a witch
Right. Can't do
escape.
that.
Yes.
Not allowed.
Also, he just lied hardcore to his brother.
Right. Well, his brother's kind of a dick.
Yeah, to be fair.
He was also making out with the girl he's in love with, so.
Yeah. And then it's Gideon's point of view. He's raiding a print shop. He sees Cressida's casting signature again. The other Blood Guard says the witches climbed out of a window. So they go back onto the street. The Blood Guard opens the
They
door.
hopped on their brooms and they flew right out the window.
Okay. And then there's an explosion.
Boom.
Boom. And then it's Rune's point of view. She has nightmares about her grandmother. Her maid gives her a newspaper, and the headline says, "Witch attack, dozens dead." And then she reads about the explosion. So she rides her horse to the print shop and asks about Gideon. Nobody knows where he is. So she goes to his house and sits in front of the door. He finds her, like, sitting there crying. And he's really surprised that she's so upset. So they start making out. And then he asks if she wants to come in. And then they have sex.
Do it. And then he sees her butthole.
She realizes she's in love with him. And then it's Gideon's point of view. Rune starts putting her clothes back on. She says she's afraid of him. For good reason.
Right.
He says they need to trust each other. Good luck. And then they have sex again.
Take your clothes back off. Let me see that chocolate starfish again.
Okay. He wakes up in the morning and goes downstairs. Hero and another Blood Guard show up. They say they arrested the print shop owner. The print shop owner is saying, like, he didn't know they were witches, that they were being...
They were just here to make some copies.
Yeah. But, you know, he has maybe a weak association, but association with witches, so now he's in trouble.
Can't do that.
Hero asks if he has proof that Rune isn't a witch. He says the proof is sleeping in his bed, and says it was the only way to know for sure.
Yeah, I just came inside her, so I'm pretty sure we're good.
And then calls her just a pretty face. And then he hears something. And then he finds Ruin listening to them, like right outside the door. And she runs. Because, like, she just realized she's in love with him. And then he says, like, oh, she's just a pretty face. I just slept with her to make sure.
Yeah.
She's not happy. Gideon follows her and says he didn't mean what he said. She says he doesn't care who he hurts as long as he gets what he wants. So she rides her horse to Alex's house. Alex asks what happened. She says Gideon was pretending to court her, which, to be fair, she was doing the same thing to him.
Right. 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah. And then Alex proposes.
Oh, you just fucked my brother a couple times. You want to marry me?
She has not told him that part yet. And then it says he's loved her since he was a kid. And then it kisses her. She starts packing to leave with Alex.
Sorry, go on. I was gonna get real vulgar. I decided it's probably better not to.
That's rare for you.
It is rare. It was
good job, Justin.
There was nowhere good it was gonna go.
Okay. Her, Alex, and Verity meet in her secret room before they break out Seraphine. Verity got them all uniforms to wear to make it easier for them. She finds a box on her bed later. It has a note from Gideon apologizing for what he said. She decides she needs to tell him in person that she's leaving with Alex.
That's stupid.
In the morning, she has her maid send a telegram.
Telegram?
To Gideon. She can't find the coin she needs to get into the prison, so she goes to the college to see if Verity has it. But Verity's room is now a broom closet.
Just turned into a broom closet.
She asks a receptionist where Verity's room is, and the receptionist says they don't have a student with that name.
All right.
So she goes,
Ironic that the witch found a broom closet.
Okay.
That wasn't a mistake.
You're real funny.
I know. That's what I'm here for.
She goes to meet Gideon. He asks if any of the other night was real and takes out a vial of blood and his coin from his pocket. So he found her secret room when she was off with Alex and Verity. She runs outside. A blood guard catches her. Gideon says he went to her house last night to talk and heard voices. And then he saw her and Verity walk out of the room. And then when they left, he went inside the room and found the spell books and the blood, everything. So he knows.
Busted.
Yeah. And then she tells him that she is officially engaged to Alex. And then it's Gideon's point of view. He goes to the platform where Rune and Seraphine will be executed. And then Alex finds him and tells him to let Rune go. Gideon says Alex could be put to death for sympathizing with witches, because that's what they do.
Not allowed.
Alex announces to everyone, because there are a bunch of people, that he knew Rune was the Crimson Moth, and he helped her get witches out. So Gideon has to arrest him at that point.
Right.
And then it's Rune's point of view. She stands next to Seraphine on the platform. She tells Seraphine why she turned in her grandmother. And then the platform gets hit with, like, fireballs.
Boom.
Boom. And she has just realized that her period is starting.
Oh, great.
That's helpful for her, though.
Yeah, it's useful.
Yes. She sees people in gray cloaks walking up to the platform. Verity is leading them. Seraphine says, no, that's Cressida. So Cressida has been pretending to be her friend Verity this entire time.
Okay.
Cressida cuts a girl's throat and uses the blood to unlock their chains.
Cool.
Yep.
Turns her upside down, gets a lot of blood.
Well, she doesn't turn her upside down. She just cuts her throat.
Wow.
Comes up behind her. Cuts her open.
That'll work.
Yeah. And then it's Gideon's point of view. Cressida tells him to stand down. So she goes to shoot him. But then Alex jumps in front of the bullet. Then Rune catches Alex. He tells her to save herself and says to use his blood to do magic.
And she's like, I'm on the rag. I don't even need your blood.
Well, now she's got a lot more of it.
Yep.
And then he dies. So she casts the earthquake spell that she saw earlier.
Right. So, well, at least him dying means that she never has to tell him that she fucked his brother.
Yes.
She really gets out of a pickle on that.
And then the ground, like, splits. Gideon sees Rune, Cressida, and Seraphine like escaping on what is essentially like a floating island at this point.
All right.
And then it's Rune's point of view later. She's on a ship. Seraphine comes up to her and says her grandmother wanted Seraphine to train her. And then that's the end of the book.
Okay.
Ta-da!
Yay! Not terrible by comparison to a lot of the books that you tell me about. I actually don't hate it. I don't hate it. Like if it was a movie, I'd give it a watch.
Okay.
Depending on who the actors were. Also, every time I would go, telegram!
All right.
I would also be really excited when Mike Tyson was in the movie.
Okay.
That'd be my favorite part.
He's not going to be in the movie.
He'd be in the movie. It'd be my favorite part.
With his face tattoo and everything?
Yeah, and he'd bite people and everything. And he'd have pigeons.
What do you think I rated it?
4.
4.5.
4.5. Oh, you're doing halves now?
I am doing halves now.
Oh, well, then it's basically a scale of 10.
Okay.
It is. It's the same thing.
Also, I just recently switched from Goodreads to Storygraph. I recommend Storygraph. It's much better. Because you can actually do half stars on Storygraph.
Oh, what a surprise. They changed the star rating because you could do out of a scale 1 to 10, essentially, instead of a scale 1 to 5, which makes a lot more sense.
All right. Anyway, 4.5 stars. I did like the book. I liked the cat and mouse thing, like the period flood. It's a pretty unique take on the story.
The blood thing in general is a unique twist on the witch story, which it
does make sense for a woman to be like, oh, I have this source of blood that comes out of me.
Also, for her to be the first one who comes up with that, all the other ones are cutting themselves, and she's like, guys, we bleed every 28 days.
Well, to be fair, like the amount of blood differs from woman to woman. And sometimes you're in a pinch when you're not on your period.
I'm not even going to get into how uneducated I am on periods. We've had this discussion before.
Correct.
I went to Catholic school. They don't even teach that kind of stuff.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
This is your education. You're welcome.
Right.
Anyway. The second book is called The Rebel Witch, and I think that comes out in February, if I'm not mistaken.
she puts on a bunch of Confederate flag stuff, and she calls herself the Rebel Witch.
No.
Oh, man, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to make a bunch of those jokes.
Great. Okay.
Her and the Duke boys.
This has been fun for me.
Yep, I had a great time. Can't wait for the movie starring Mike Tyson.
Follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Next time we are starting the Kingdom of the Wicked series. The first book is The Kingdom of the Wicked.
All right. You can also follow us on Telegram.
No, please don't. We'll see you next time.
Bye.